My wife spent our daughter's college fund on her work husband, and I didn't find out until the financial aid letter came back. Why I'm writing this at 3 a.m. The letter said we owed $18,400 by August 15th, and I was standing in our kitchen holding the envelope, and the coffee maker was hissing behind me, and I just stood there. Maya, my daughter, she's 17. She worked her ass off for 3 years. AP everything, volunteer at the food bank, the whole thing she got into state. Full acceptance. And this letter, this financial aid package, it was supposed to say, congratulations, here's what you qualify for. Instead, it said, based on your family's expected contribution of $47,000 annually, you do not qualify for need-based aid. We don't have $47,000. We don't have half of that. We have about $12,000 in savings total, and I know because I checked this morning at 4:47 a.m. while Sarah was asleep, and I was sitting on the toilet with my phone, shaking so hard I kept hitting the wrong numbers on the banking app. The 529 plan. The college fund. We started it when Maya was 2 years old. Sarah's dad had just died and left her some money, and she said, I remember this. I remember exactly how she looked. She was holding Maya in one of those front carriers, and Maya had spit up on her shoulder, and Sarah said, we're putting all of it in her college fund. All of it. She's not going to struggle like we did. $89,000. It was supposed to be $89,000 by now. Maybe more. I checked it 6 months ago. It was there. It was fine. It's gone. I keep trying to remember if Sarah said something that morning, the last normal morning, but I can't, and I don't know if that makes it better or worse. We've been married 19 years, together 22. We met at a shitty insurance company in Cleveland, both of us 24 and convinced we were too smart for the job. She laughed at my jokes. I noticed her shoes first, these red heels that were completely wrong for the office, and I thought, that girl doesn't care what they think. And I was right, she didn't. She never has. We got married in her parents' backyard. It rained, we moved inside, and her uncle got drunk and sang Sweet Caroline, and Sarah and I danced in the living room with water dripping from the ceiling onto the carpet. I stepped on her dress and tore it, and she laughed so hard she snorted. I have a picture of that. Her face red, mouth open, completely undignified. It's in my desk drawer at work. We had Maya 2 years later. Sarah stopped working for a while, then went back part-time, then full-time when Maya started school. She got her MBA at night. I picked up extra shifts. We were tired for basically 15 years straight, but we were a team. I really believed that. I need you to understand that I really, truly believed that. Every Saturday morning, same thing. Sarah made pancakes, the thick kind, from a box. She never could make them from scratch. And Maya would tell us about whatever book she was reading, and I'd pretend to be interested in YA fantasy because it mattered to her. Sarah would do the crossword. I'd do the dishes. It was boring. It was so boring, and it was the best thing I had. I should have noticed that she stopped doing that thing with the coffee cups, but I was tired, and you don't inventory love when you think you have enough of it. About 2 years ago, Sarah got promoted. Director of operations at this logistics company. She was proud of it. I was proud of her. She started traveling more conferences, client meetings, team-building weekends. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. It was her turn. I'd had my career moments. She'd supported me. That's marriage. You take turns. But there were things. First thing, her phone. She'd always been casual about it, left it on the counter, let Maya use it for games, no passcode even. Then one day, passcode. I noticed because Maya asked to look something up, and Sarah said, use Dad's, mine's dead, and it wasn't dead, and it was right there, face up, 73% battery. I didn't say anything. I told myself it was work stuff, confidential client information. That made sense. Second thing, she started wearing makeup to casual Fridays. Not a lot, just more than before. Foundation. This lipstick that was darker than her usual. I'd find the tube in the bathroom, and I'd look at it, and I'd think, huh. And then I'd put it back in the drawer. She's allowed to want to look nice. She's allowed to feel good about herself. I told myself this so many times it became a mantra. Third thing, the money. She took over the finances about 18 months ago. Said she wanted to optimize our investments, that her MBA finally had a use. I was relieved, honestly. I hate that stuff. Taxes stress me out. She was good at it. She showed me spreadsheets once, color-coded, and I nodded and felt grateful that I didn't have to think about it. My sister asked if everything was okay, and I laughed at her, and I can still hear how hard I laughed, like I was trying to drown out something else. 6 months ago. I remember because it was right after Maya's junior prom, and Maya came home early because her date got drunk and threw up in the Uber, and she was crying but also laughing, this weird hysterical mix, and I was up with her until 2 a.m. making grilled cheese and listening to her talk about how embarrassing it was, how she'd never live it down. Sarah was in Denver. Conference. She texted, "How did it go?" And I sent back a thumbs up because I didn't have the energy to type the whole story, and she sent back, "Glad it was fun," and I stared at that for a while. Fun. It wasn't fun. But I didn't correct her. What was the point? I couldn't sleep that night. I got up and I walked around the house. I don't know why, I just paced. I ended up in our bedroom and Sarah's laptop was on the dresser, open, and the screen was still on. Just dimmed. I didn't mean to look. I want you to believe that. I didn't mean to. It was an email, or part of one. The preview pane. Something about dinner reservations. Can't wait to see you. Same place as last time? And a name. Derek. I closed it. I closed the laptop. I stood there in the dark and I could hear Maya sniffling in her room down the hall, and I thought, I'm going to ask her about this. Tomorrow, I'm going to ask. I didn't ask. I didn't ask because the next morning Sarah called from the airport, sounding so normal, so tired, so Sarah. And she said, "I miss you guys. I hate these trips." And I believed her. I wanted to believe her. I think now that wanting to believe someone is the most dangerous thing you can do. I was holding her phone just to move it, I told myself, and it lit up with a name, and I put it down so fast I knocked over my water, and I laughed and said, "Clumsy me," and nobody laughed back. I started checking. I hate that I started checking. I hate that I'm telling you this, but I need you to understand I wasn't crazy yet. I was just getting ready. I started a folder on my laptop called Taxes 2019. I don't know why I picked that year. I don't know why I'm telling you this. But in that folder I started screenshots. Bank statements I could access. The 529 plan login, I still had the password. She'd never changed it. I told myself I was just staying informed, that I should know these things, that it was responsible. The 529 was fine in January, $84,000, down a little from the market, but fine. I checked again in March. $81,000. I remember being annoyed we were supposed to be conservative with that money. It was for college, not for gambling, but I didn't say anything. Sarah handled the investments. She knew what she was doing. I checked again in May. $67,000. That was a big drop. That was a huge drop. I stared at that number for a long time. I almost asked her. I almost said, "Hey, what's going on with Maya's college fund?" But I didn't. I didn't because I'd also found the credit card statements by then, the ones she thought she'd hidden. And I saw charges for hotels I didn't recognize, restaurants in cities she was supposedly working late in. And I knew that if I asked about the college fund, I'd have to ask about the rest, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready because Maya had finals, because Sarah's mom was having health issues, because there was always a reason to wait, to not know, to keep the lights on for one more day. I started sleeping in the guest room. I told Sarah it was because I snored, because I was getting up early for work, because the mattress was better for my back. She didn't argue. She didn't ask. That should have told me everything, but I was so busy building my case, gathering my evidence, that I didn't notice she wasn't even bothering to lie well anymore. I started a folder on my laptop called Taxes 2019, and I don't know why I picked that year, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I need you to understand I wasn't crazy yet. I was just getting ready. The letter came Tuesday. I was home because I took a sick day, not sick, just couldn't face the office, couldn't face pretending, and the mail came at 11:30, and there it was. State University Financial Aid Office. I opened it because Sarah was at work, and I thought, I'll just check, make sure everything's in order for Maya. Expected family contribution. $47,000. I read it 3 times. I I read it until the words stopped making sense as words, just shapes. Then I opened my laptop. The Taxes 2019 folder. The 529 plan. I logged in. $3,400. I didn't scream. I remember being surprised I didn't scream. I just said, oh, and then I said, I need to sit down, and then I sat on the floor because the chair was too far away. $3,400. $85,000. Gone. Where does $85,000 go? I sat there on the kitchen floor. The tile was cold. I remember the tile was cold, and I thought about all the things that money was supposed to be. Maya's first semester, her books, the security of knowing she'd be okay, that we did that for her, that we were good parents, that all those years of boxed pancakes and night shifts meant something. I called the 529 company. Automated system. Pressed buttons until I got a human. A nice woman named Patricia. I explained, or tried to, and she said she could see the withdrawal history, but she'd need Sarah on the line too, for security. I said, it's my daughter's future, I just need to know. And Patricia said, I'm sorry, sir, I really am, but I need both account holders. I hung up. I sat there. The coffee maker was still hissing. I'd started a pot and forgotten about it. The smell was burning. I didn't get up to turn it off. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for Sarah to come home. I heard her keys in the door, her bag hitting the floor, her voice calling, hello, like she always did. Like nothing was wrong. Like we were still the people who danced in the rain and saved for our daughter's future. She walked into the kitchen. She saw me on the floor. She saw the letter. I watched her face. I watched her calculate. Not panic, not guilt, calculation. How much did he know? What can I say? What's the move here? Mark, she said. Mark, I can explain. I didn't scream. I remember being surprised I didn't scream. I just said, oh. And then I said, I need to sit down. And then I sat on the floor because the chair was too far away. She explained. Or she tried. It came out in pieces over the next 3 hours while I sat on that floor and then moved to a chair, and then she was crying, and I couldn't. My eyes were dry as sand. Derek, her work husband. That's what she called him at first, like it was a joke, like it was nothing. He was in sales, charming, had ideas about investments, crypto mostly, some real estate thing in Arizona. She'd loaned him money from the 529, just temporarily, just until his deal came through, just until they could pay it back with interest. It was going to be a surprise, a good surprise. We'd have more than enough for Maya. The first loan was $20,000 18 months ago, then another $30,000, then the rest, piece by piece, as Derek's deals kept needing just a little more capital. She'd stopped checking the balance. She said she stopped checking because she couldn't bear to see it, that she knew it was bad, but Derek kept saying the payout was coming any day now, and if she just held on. She'd also given him personal money, our savings, the emergency fund, $40,000 there too, gone. I asked her if she was sleeping with him. She didn't answer at first. That was the answer. I didn't hit anything. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there and I felt, I don't have a word for it. Not anger. Anger would be warm. This was cold. This was so cold it felt like clarity. I said, Maya starts college in 9 months. Sarah cried harder. She said we'd figure it out. Loans, scholarships. She'd talk to Derek, she'd get the money back he'd promised. He was good for it. I said, you need to leave. She said, this is my house too. I said, not anymore. I didn't scream. I didn't throw her out that night. I couldn't. Maya was at a friend's house, thank God, but she'd be home eventually, and I couldn't let her come home to that. So Sarah slept in the guest room. I slept in our bed, or tried to, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how many nights she'd been in that room, on her phone, talking to him, while I snored in here like an idiot. The next morning I called a lawyer. I didn't tell Sarah. I called my sister, the one I'd laughed at, and I said, you were right about everything, and I'm sorry. And she didn't say, I told you so. She just said, what do you need? And I cried for the first time, ugly, gasping, the kind of crying I haven't done since I was a kid. I won. I mean, on paper, I won. Everyone said I won, and I keep wanting to call someone and tell them it doesn't feel like winning, but the only person who'd understand is her. And I can't call her, so I just don't call anyone. That was 4 months ago. Sarah moved out in March, stayed with her sister, then an apartment I don't know the address of. I didn't ask. The divorce papers are filed. I'm keeping the house. She didn't fight it. Too guilty, maybe, or too exhausted. The lawyer says I'll probably get everything in terms of assets, but there are no assets, so what does that matter? Maya knows. I had to tell her. I sat her down in the kitchen, same floor where I found out, and I told her the college fund was gone. I didn't tell her why, not all of it. I said, your mom made some bad investments. That's true. It's not the whole truth, but it's true. Maya cried. Then she got quiet, that teenage quiet that's worse than crying, and she said, it's okay, Dad. I'll go to community college first. I'll figure it out. And I wanted to die. I wanted to die because my kid was comforting me for failing her. She's working now. Hostess at a restaurant. Saving money. She got a small scholarship academic, not need-based because our expected contribution is still $47,000 on paper. I'm appealing the financial aid decision. I have a hearing in August. I'm bringing bank statements, divorce filings, proof that the money was stolen. Stolen. I can say that now. It was stolen. Derek disappeared. Of course he did. Sarah tried to file a police report, I guess, or threatened to. She told me this in one of our last conversations, her voice small, broken in a way that would have moved me 6 months ago. He blocked me, Mark. He just blocked me. I didn't say anything. What was there to say? I see Sarah sometimes, picking up Maya for dinner, or just, I see her car. I don't look too long. I threw out his mug last week. It was chipped anyway. I stood there with it in my hand for a while, and then I put it in the box for goodwill, because trash felt too final, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but it's 3 a.m. and I'm still not sleeping, so here it is. TLDR. Wife drained our daughter's $85,000 college fund, investing it with her affair partner. I found out from a financial aid letter. Now I'm getting divorced and my daughter's working as a hostess to pay for community college. Don't ignore the signs. Don't be me.